Hey guys, how's it going today? How's everybody doing? Welcome to Live with Reefer Madness. Hopefully we can get our chat on and get some interesting information on the go. So who we got out there? I do have a link if you do want to get into the chat. That is up now for anybody who wants to get in, and anybody who wants to just ask a question, feel free. Not a whole lot going on in the reefing community world right now as far as that Indo thing. Still looking into it, still trying to find out what's going on. But we'll find out, I'm sure. It'll come out in the wash. And YouTube is being weird, so if there's any issues and you can let me know. Because I did notice for some reason my stream sort of stalled, for lack of a better word. So, what's going on? I will have more cameras set up tomorrow. I was going to do it today, but I got some stuff there that I unfortunately got involved with, so I do have to wait. Didn't have time, and I've been trying to get my streams up just a little bit sooner. But I think my big thing today is probably going to be trying to figure out what's a good time for everybody. Because, you know, a good compromise is always going to leave everybody unhappy. That's kind of the way it works. And that's kind of what I'm probably going to have to go with, because I do have a lot of people West Coast, and I do have a lot of people over in the UK and Europe I'd like to watch. So I've been trying to work on that and see what I can do to kind of put it in the middle, so that those folks on the far end of the East can get on, and it's not 2 in the morning. But, you know, we'll see. We'll try to make it so that everybody can get a little madness in their life. Well, I got 4 people hanging out. Feel free to say hi. And if you are saying hi, and you actually can contact me another way, because some of you can know how, and some of you are on my friends on Facebook, and don't forget Reefer Madness is on Facebook as well. Let me know. Because oddly enough, it is in a weird state right now. What's going on? Sorry, guys. It's really weird. I'm live. I'm streaming. So what's going on? It says I got 4 people, but I got no chat. Is that because this is like... Okay, well, it's done. What big guy? My big male cat, Damien, who you've seen in videos, that's one who's just thrilled with water. He's decided he wants to sit around and meow at me all the time. You got food, you got water, so what's the issue? Is it attention? Because I'm not giving it to you right now. Well, I guess I am. There you go. The bizarreness of me. And yes, I talk to my kids. I talk to my fish, too. Just saying. You know, if they don't answer back, you're good. That all went out. So, not sure what's going on. But hey, there's the Eradicate. Alright, well, oddly enough, things are working out that way. How you doing today, Big D? I'm actually just waiting on a few things here. 20's doing great. I still got a minor algae issue going on. Hey, Tim. How you doing? Yeah, D, I know. Trucking and rucking. So... Tim. Let's go knock one out there for you, Tim. I'll send you a link. Even if you're not popping in, that's okay. Link will be there just in case. There we go. Hey, Da Vinci. How you doing this morning? You know, you gotta kind of looking for the point of view, I guess, that That was weird. Sorry, guys. I'm just a little weirded out. Everything booted up in a really weird way today. It wasn't very smooth. And I didn't do anything different, but everything just kind of... It wasn't giving me live chat. It was giving me top chat. Hey, Dre. How you doing today? Yeah, rural areas are always fun, but... You know, it's really funny. In Canada here, you can always see the cell towers, especially when you're going through... I live in what's called the St. John River Valley, and it's mostly mountains. You know, well, I wouldn't call them mountain big hills, but peaks and valleys. Not too bad, Dre. Not too bad. And yeah, yeah, the customer is always right. Yeah, everybody. there's there's a couple of pretty cute uh, memes going around right now. They put out Tim Hortons' new donut, and the donut's fondant on top is poo shaped. It's actually pretty funny. Um, you know, they're it's one of those incidents that all of Canada just. I'm surprised there wasn't a large gust of wind headed south from us smacking our face and face palming over that. Yeah, exactly, man. I'm drinking coffee, so it didn't affect sales, right? You didn't get notifications. Okay, I Reef, double check your sub to me and the bell, because what has been going on, as far as I can tell anyway, between Philip DeFranco talking about it and checking whatever Google/YouTube is doing, your habits will dictate if they take the bell off for you. Or was there a hockey stick assault effect? Well, we play baseball, but most of the time, yeah, we have hockey sticks. A man eats his underwear to beat a breathalyzer. That sounds like a Canuck. Oh, if you eat your underwear, they can't test your breath. Yeah. Oh no, really? It's one of those funny things with that accent that people think we have. It's like Fargo, North Dakota. They think they all talk like that, and they don't. So yeah, YouTube will suspend notifications from some of your subscriptions because their algorithm says that you watch mostly this. So we're gonna make sure you get those and not the others. Yeah, the Vegas Knights, man, that's a big deal. There's a few. And the Dallas Stars were doing really well. That was Canada. We don't care. It's hockey. Yeah. So when you click your subscription, make sure to the right the little bell is not. You click on that. Otherwise, you don't get notifications. And check to see if they turned it off if you know you turned it on. So yeah, that's all right. I know lots of people don't like Reefer Madness. Yeah, I didn't come up with that name because it was anything other than clever, huh? Well, they call us reefers. That's a vague term for somebody that's in saltwater reef tanks. And I just sort of jumped on that and said, it's like an addiction. I went reefer madness. We all had a good laugh, and my brain went, you know. So I made the Facebook group, and I just carried it on into YouTube. So someone was saying they don't like it. Who's someone, Cody? I'm curious. Or is it just what's the word? Generalization. And Duraticut, yeah, let him. I played hockey. You could say it builds character. It's like any other sport. If he's going to play football, they're all just as dangerous, right? So, ah, interesting. Okay, so that's well and good enough. Tim, did you get the notification? Where'd that go? All right, I did copy that, guys. Go. There's Tim. How you doing today, Tim?
I'm doing okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I just got back in the car. I was eating breakfast at a restaurant, but I googled the Tom Hortons.
Tim
I
Hortons.
googled Tim Hortons. I googled it. It actually says first of all, there's two things that are funny. The first, it actually says woman arrested for pooping.
Yeah, I know.
I can't believe they wrote it like that. I mean, I'm expecting defecating or something, but it says pooping. The further goes on, and in the article it says she threw the poop at the
And she flung her own
employee.
feces, yeah, at the employees. And then
The reason was that she was denied access to the bathroom based on past performance.
it's all right. So we were right yesterday. There's a screw loose. Somebody they finally said, nope, that's enough of you mucking up, no pun intended, the bathroom. And she said, well, fine, I'll do it right here. There we go.
I'm going, what the hell past performance? What the hell is a past performance? What the hell did
Yeah,
she
what
do?
did she do in that bathroom? Was it a daddy daycare incident? And somebody walked in like, oh, yeah.
Like, no, lady.
Yeah,
You're
not doing that again.
Get
Yeah.
the hell out of our bathroom.
Well, then I'll do it right here. She didn't just do that. She also wiped herself and then flung that at them. It was one of the most bizarre videos I think I've ever seen, and I've seen some pretty bizarre videos. Welcome to the internet. So for anybody to be sitting there, it's just one of those things, right? You're just like, wow. Yeah. But
Can you imagine people sitting there? I don't know why it just strikes me as really hilarious.
Well, for those that don't know, Tim Hortons, it's a coffee chain like Dunkin' Donuts up here in Canada. And it was started by an ex-NHL hockey player named Tim Horton. He played for the Buffalo Sabres. And he just had this smart idea. You know what I mean? Like, I think, if I recall, he had seen one Dunkin' Donuts, and he was a big, avid coffee drinker. So, kaboom. Yeah. And the customer's always right. I think in this case, though, I think we can all agree that maybe not. I have a new idea for Leclerc. Here you go.
Well,
it'll cut costs.
She's probably like some of the. It's probably any city you go to, any 7-Eleven, any kind of restaurant. They come in. And they're just street people, and they and they come in and and they just take a shower and they'll be in there for an hour.
Well, you would think that, and actually, most of them don't make a mess. They want access to that, right? She was wearing leggings and a tank. She was dressed like a soccer mom. You know what I mean? So I still want to know. Past performance, we need to know. Inquiring minds worldwide, because of us talking about it, now want to know what this woman did. And I know, guys, this has nothing to do with reefing. I apologize. But this story has a stranglehold on Canada. It really does. People are just like, what? And I'm sure it's happened before. It's just that welcome to social media and everything just took off with it. But yeah, it's it's what it is. So remember I was telling you the ick thing? I now have another one that messaged me last night, and sure enough, he's got ick. And so I always do a little bit of research because we have so few shops here. It's one of those things where we don't want to tell the shop because, middle finger up, you bastards gave me ick. It's we want to let them know you may have a problem. You know what I mean? So that they can actually get a hold of it. And we cannot, for the life of us, figure out with this guy where it came from, because we know the shop, we know the fish that are there, and anybody can go into the shop, and there's nothing. And we're not talking about gazillions of water volume here. We're talking, he might have 50, he might have as much as Alex G in water, right? So, okay. Ick and salt water is, oh God, Cody, it's one of those things. There's two ways to kind of approach it. You can't do the heat the tank up. You can't do any of the stuff that you'll see going around. The only two options you really have is support the fish through it, and keep their immune system up so they build up their slime coat and keep most of the ick off them. The problem being is that some's always going to get through. This is where the fallacy that this can be beat. You can't. It's going to get them somewhere, and it only takes one to survive to keep the thing going. Right? That's all it is. But you can do it and just deal with it, and it'll be little spurts and spats that you'll go through. The other one is you do have to take all the fish out and fallow the system for 3 months, right?
Yeah.
So 72 days, aka we say go 90. And copper dosing the fish after you get them out is the general recommended method, but you can also go what's called hyposalinity, which is take your salinity down to 0.011, and do it slow. Don't rapidly drop them, and then slowly raise them back up. So you would do 2 weeks at 11 to 3 weeks. That should move the cycle through inside that tank, because they generally do. This is where I think this guy failed out, is that somehow, and through questioning him, this is how I figured out, I think I know how he got it back, is that when he did his treatments and everything last time, he had rock in his quarantine system, which you would suppose would be the good idea, because you don't want to copper the fish for 3 months. They're not gonna, you're gonna kill them. You're supposed to do 2 weeks at full therapeutic, which I think is 0.22 parts per million. And what you're trying to do is catch them dropping off the fish. But what if they make it down to the insist stage before the copper gets them? Is where my thinking was. And if they can get onto substrate or anything rough and insist, they can survive a nuclear blast. Like, they have been irradiated. There's been testing that's been done trying to figure out how to kill them, and they'll survive that and get it back out. So you gotta, yeah, they're really tough in certain phases. So the only time that we can get ick is in the free swimming stage. That's it. It's the only time you can get them. And this guy's going on about his neon goby being the cleaner, and he's the one he's got a neon goby and a clown goby. Are the only two in this 29-gallon system that have it. And he's like, oh, the only fish I had was a cherub angel. I said, well, does he have it? No. I said, does the other one that you separated him out for the aggression have it? No. And I'm like, it's probably not him. You know what I mean? It was there. So who, got stressed out, right? Yeah, I'm telling you, ick is one of those things, and it can cause some arguments. I'll have somebody come on here and they'll be talking about Rally, Ruby Reef, and Rally. And it's like, I'm not saying well, I'll tell you, read the instructions very clearly, and it will warn you. You can put this in your reef tank, but it doesn't kill them. You know what I mean? It just helps the fish, but the problem is it's also extremely volatile towards your inverts, right? AKA your corals and your invertebrates. So it's one of those weird things when it comes down to it, how you're going to do it. A lot of guys will just use Celcon, garlic, and just keep them well fed through that to help them build up their immune system if you're going to go that route. So, yeah. But you got to be super stringent with your quarantine system. Because I'm gonna get into that at some point with Nick and Cruz and the other guys that deal with this on a regular basis, and say, is it possible in a copper system that you could make that oh god, I forgot the stage. But when they insist and they're on the rock, if they made it off the fish before you got the copper going, and they only need a couple of hours to do that, so they pop out of the fish. They hit wherever they're going to, lock up themselves to go through their reproductive phase. If they made it to that and you put copper in, you wouldn't hurt them. And if for some reason it decided it was going to wait 72 days, you're going to should have emptied the system, right? So that should be okay. So what if it decided after 4 weeks to come out? You've already gone through the hyposalinity, you've already gone through the copper or whatever the case is, and it gets back out. What do you do then? How long? And that's why I said 3 months, because you need to do 3 months to catch them in both spots, right? I also ghost fed fish waste to my system. So once it was clear of copper, I could find no trace of copper in my water. I would take that water from the quarantine and lace it into my system to kind of fool the parasite that's in the display tank to try and get them to come out.
When I get a chance, Craig, I got to find. When I was going through a bunch of when I was going through the trials, it's a reef to reef video, but on there they've got a vet. He's a vet, but he. I'm on the human side of things, so he's got like a residency in marine animals and fish.
Right.
I forget what but anyway, it's a real straightforward, real easy to understand video, and he talks about all these areas we're talking about: hyposalinity, heat, all this stuff about ick, and he just really makes a lot of sense. I'll try to bring that up again. I'll try to pull it up and get the link to that for you.
Absolutely, love to see that. Actually, I could probably
Really,
find it
it's
too.
really really good, and
You try. Yeah, that's the thing. It's there's a lot of myth behind it because of freshwater
yeah,
ick. They are not
yeah.
the same thing. Okay.
He covers that too. He
Yep.
covers that too. Really, just down to earth guy, but he knows what he's talking about, and I'll have to get that. So probably one day maybe we can get a list of links to videos that really know what they're talking about, and including like Steve Rogers too. The last one that he did, and some
Yep.
other ones that really hit all the points and are good. There's no, I mean, really facts. And not BS. I'll find it because that when I found that, because he just like now we're talking about how long fallow, and he goes, he says, well, 6 weeks is the minimum. He says you can be pretty sure at 6 weeks you're about
Yep.
95. He says, but that's 95. 95% gone. But so you're playing.
Russian
He
roulette.
says that would be the minimum, the absolute minimum. He says, but the longer you go, the more you're going to get to 96, 97, 90. You get into the 3 month area, you're about 99.99%.
Oh, 99.9. Yeah. And because I'll say, look, chances are, if there is a difference with ick, like let's say they were calling it the super strain, and it's like, well, that's not necessarily the case, right? It just could be that this one delayed and it was 3 months and 4 days. That's all it would take. You'd be screwed.
Exactly.
Because you'd have fish back in the system, and bang, you got ick again. And it's heartbreaking. I did it. I did it for 9 months. I screwed around with ick, and it was lucky I caught it after the second time.
It really messes with your mind. And,
Yeah.
trying to get your tank going, and you got and it's just really depressing. You got this tank full of water, and you can't have no fish in there. You can't. It's just like you don't even want to look at the tank. It's like. It's really a depressing period, and you've lost all these fish. Your fish died, or maybe you had for you don't know how long, and it's just really, if you're really a true saltwater hobbyist, it's just devastating.
If you're a coral keeper, fish are literally there as a consequence for feeding, right? They help keep everything going. But if you're into saltwater reefs in general, the fish are there because you want the fish there. So it becomes this weird. It's like equipment failures, like Tom just went through, right? One cord hits the tank and fries the living hell out of most of his fish.
Yeah.
He lost the 3 of the big fish. They're the ones that didn't tolerate the stray voltage very well. So when he put them in the other tub, we know what happened. They've passed because they were already shocked bad enough. Plus being taken out of the tank. You add, it's almost like when it rains, it pours when you're dealing with a reef tank, right?
Oh, yeah.
How you doing, Rip?
And we all, no matter how big our tanks are, whether they're 10 gallons, 100 gallons, or 1,000 gallons, we're all still dealing with nano compared to the ocean, and all these little, things that, the ocean's too big. Things like that aren't going to affect the whole ocean, but we got this glass box full of water, and little things,
Right, and that's just it, right? And good morning, Kelly. The Seahorse Whisperer is here. How you doing? And Rip, I'm doing okay. I'm still a little, like I said, still a little sick, but
that smoker's hack, man.
Sure, that's what it is. I'm going to roll another smoking habit just for you, Tim. But it's funny that she talks about quarantining copper. Now, here's the trick. If it's already in the system, that's when it gets interesting, because I have had people come to me and say, well, I got rid of my ick. Okay, how long did you do it for? And they'll say 6 weeks, because everyone wants to go for the minimum. I did. First time I dealt with it, 6 weeks, put everybody back in. Guess what? Ick again. Out they came. So I did 2 full months. I did 8 weeks. That was the second one I had read. So when I put them back in, thank you so much, Kelly. You're far too kind. And what really was funny is that when I went to move after that second time, everybody looked okay. I had lost my starry blenny. If you've ever seen a starry blenny, try to find ick on a starry blenny. You'll probably never see it. So what was really funny is he had died, so I took a good look at him when I removed him from the tank, what was left of him after the cleanup crew got a hold of him, because he was a good-sized fish. He was about 3 times bigger than the lawnmower blenny that was in there right now when I got him. And by the time he left the tank, he was almost a good full 6 inches long. So it was funny that I took him out. Everybody looked fine. I was really, really diligent about looking at him, and everything was fine. So when we tore down to move, I was taking my clowns out, and I saw the ick. And of course, when I took them out of the water and really took a look at it, I knew it was ick. And it was just like immediately set up the quarantine tank at the new house. I put everybody in the same tank because I had a bigger quarantine at that time than I had previously with all the small tanks. Put everybody in there, kept everybody happy, and then basically I went 3 full months, put everybody back in, everything was fine, and any new fish went through 3 months at that point because in my mind, at that point, I had gone long enough that I had kicked it, and I made sure that anybody going in my system, 6 weeks minimum. 6 weeks minimum. Right? Because I just didn't want it again. 9 months was enough. I almost quit the hobby at that point because I was just so fed up with, almost daily water changes, keeping these guys alive and happy and as stress-free as possible. And the other thing that I didn't know, and I was doing it, and then I stopped because I noticed the fish were reacting weird, turned my lights off. I just kept the lights off for like 90% of the time. I might put it on for an hour or two, get them up to feed, turn the lights back off. Because what I was trying to do was do the hospital thing, right? And what I didn't do, and then ended up doing by accident, was bubble that quarantine system. Put lots of aeration in there, because copper, of course, reduces oxygen levels. Right? Does it say that on your box? No, it doesn't really say that on the bottle. You know what I mean? There's little things like, and that's why I'm actually going to be working with Cruz, Nick Chan, and a few other people, and we're going to write... I want to say a book, but it'd be more like a little novella. You know what I mean? It's like dealing with this, right? And, methods and myths. You know what I mean? Because I watched a guy cook his fish. That was fun. He turned the heat up. He had it up to 96 degrees, and everything's dying, and he couldn't figure out why. And I'm like, oh my god. Okay.
His license for reef keeping
should have been revoked. Yeah, exactly. If there were fish police in this world, they should have been in there, busting his ass right then and there, right?
Bust that, get out.
Yeah, you're done. Hand over your fish, sir. Yeah. And you know what? And it doesn't necessarily, Cody, have to come from veterinarian professionals. I mean, I'd love their input when I go to do this, because I'm not a writer. So it's going to be one of those, I got to talk, have it write it out for me, and then spell check it. Because if I start typing, it's like, yeah, this is going to be great. Oh, it's going to be awesome. And I'm so bored. Or my mind just, I'm literally like, squirrel, and I'm gone. You know what I mean? So, it's literally the attention span of a gnat, when it comes down to that, right? And you're exactly right, Cody. My buddy who does reptiles as well, whose name is Cody. How's that grab you? The stuff he deals with, and you're just like, but there's science and methods to dealing with it, Crypto is just a real bastard. It really is.
Craig, did you say squirrel?
Squirrel, yeah. Up the dogs. I am so Doug. I love you. This is great. Thank you for squirrel. It's like literally, my attention is now gone, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I can focus, obviously. I have, decent tanks and things look good. And, I can basically get on here and not, completely make a fool out of myself kind of deal. So.
The funniest part of that National Lampoon movie, Christmas Vacation, or one of the funniest parts, the whole damn thing's funny. But it's like when he finds a squirrel in the tree, and he's like, squirrel!
Oh, yeah. yeah.
The old lady's passing out. That was the funniest part. I'm just dying laughing. My wife says, I didn't think that was so funny. I said, come on.
It's because of the, some people don't get bizarre humor. The over the top, right? So. But yeah. You'll write my dictation. Phrasing. Just saying. I'm kidding, Kelly. It's one of those things. Like it is a topic that's spoke of, but it's almost like, oh, well, you fail as a reefer or husbandry, and it's all your fault. And you're like, what? No, it isn't. And it's not the LFS's fault. You're dealing with wild caught fish. They're getting put into a system that's had it, and because it's had it, it's now passing it on to other fish. There was one order that came from. Don't ask me to. I don't remember the supplier, but it was a big one, and every fish, every one, had ick. Every one I saw pulled out of the bag. Every fish. You know what I mean? So for an LFS who's not going to get their money back, okay, they don't get refunded for these fish, okay? That's how it works for them. So he's got to treat them. You know, he's going to have the same problems we're going to have, so he's now got to clean out his whole quarantine system that he does have. My guy, has a separated quarantine system. He does that, and now the other guy who nobody really wants to go to now has one. Isn't that funny? But anyway, I wonder why. You know, and it worked out for him. So that's why he was very curious of this fella too, who got it. Where did it come from? What did you do? What else has been done? Because he did my method. He did 3 months. The only fish that's gone in the system, according to him now at this point, has come from this store. So now we're like, well, what else did you buy? Right? And it's like, well, there's, because we know it can come in on coral, we know it can come in on invert shells. So it's kind of like, well, if we're in those main displays where those guys are, because he runs kind of a natural setup, right? He's got 4 tanks, and they basically have fish and coral in all those systems. Now, some would argue that's a bad idea, but it keeps those fish calmer and healthier in his eye. So I get why he does it. So it's kind of like, okay, so now we got to track it down, because my LFS guy cares enough to actually try and figure out where it came from. Not, well, you bought the fish, now it's your problem, right? And this hasn't happened recently. These fish were bought months ago, and now it's shown up. So, once again, Sherlock Holmes. I'm on the trail again, trying to figure it out. Hello, David. How are you doing, sir? How's my favorite Irish resident? Yeah, and that's interesting too, Cody. You're correct. Most temperate tanks are low temperature tanks. Don't seem to get ick. Ick likes a certain temperature range, And the thing is, I really, and again, that's what I want to look into, is if you lower the temperature slowly, coral will suffer down to 72, but I think ick survives at 72. But what are you running your tanks at? Ick doesn't like 55, right? So you're going well below. You're talking about, that's levels that most tropical fish. What do you got for fish in that tank? I'm curious. Now I'm just, see, squirrel. Yeah.
55.
55 to 58 Fahrenheit. Okay. And what fish do you have in there? Now, I'm going to guess you have a cowrie. Natives to PNW. Oh, you're talking about stuff from off the coast of BC, so to speak. Oregon and Washington. Or what? Yeah, I guess Oregon and Washington, yeah. Right.
How can you get a tank to 55 degrees? Except in Canada.
Well, and that's just it. If he's pulling fish out of the waters off the coast of Canada, we'll call it, okay? And he's just, native species, nothing endangered. That's an interesting thought. And is ick endemic to tropical water? That's another good question.
I don't know.
And that's just it. Here we go. I mean, and Tim, you know me. It's like I want to get away from talking about ick, but you know what? Maybe we shouldn't, Because the simple fact of the matter is, and it always seems to be, and Nick Chan made a really good, observation the other day. How come it always seems to be newer reefers, so the first year to year and a half that bump into this the most versus established reefers? Guys who are 5, 6 years into the hobby.
Well, maybe it's because those are the people who are now, buying a lot of livestock and to fill their tanks, and so they're running. If you've had a tank for a long time, you're not probably adding very many fish, or I don't know. I mean, you probably you may not add another fish for 6, 12, 2 years, 12 months, 2 years. So the new reefers might maybe adding a new fish, every couple of weeks or every month,
So the prevalent theory being that you're in that initial stocking phase,
yeah,
and you're going a little crazy. You got your mad money, and you're hitting it up, and you're grabbing a bunch of corals, and you're grabbing a bunch of everything. Yeah, that could be. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, you can't temperature shock a tropical fish. I know that. Or you can't put that fish in there because you will temperature shock the fish. But I wonder if you acclimated them down to it. Wow, we need crews. What do you mean, Nick in here, just on that front, because see if they've ever messed with it, or anybody else who's really thick in the hobby like that has ever done that. That would be a very interesting question.
I think my blue tang would be banging on the glass and, hey, turn the damn heater on.
Yeah, turn the damn heater on. Yeah, ding, ding. You hear that? Hey.
What the hell are you doing?
I pay rent here. Yeah, exactly, right? That's interesting. Make some notes here.
I don't know. I don't know what. I don't know. I never thought about that before. About the areas where, like you're talking about, the ocean where you have temperatures like that. Is it even prevalent at all in those areas? Since I don't know. That's a good.
Huh. See what I mean? Right? There's been white paper studies. There really has, guys. You can go out and read them. And they've really been thorough, but there's certain things that I know I did not read when I was reading these over, like temperature. We know there's a range, but is that range very specific to where it's from? That's a... And you've never observed... Now, Cody, you have a cold water tank. I mean, we'll call it... That's a cold water tank. That would be endemic to, Canadian northeast, northwest waters in North America. Well, I guess Russia to a degree, but we don't want Russian fish. I'm just saying. I don't need a wolf eel, thank you. Hey, how you doing, Jeeves?
Yeah, you gotta watch those Russian fish.
Yeah, email's on the way to you there, Big K. And Jeeves, if you want to pop in, I'm probably going to have to email you too. The links are not working again. And I say again, like I don't think they've ever really fully fixed it yet. But no, that's an interesting thought. Is it endemic to Pacific tropical waters over to Atlantic tropical, in the tropic zone versus cold water? You get lice and parasites, but you don't get ick. So yeah, you get the real tough buggers. But those guys actually are susceptible to the exact same stuff. And I know copper, and they don't have that insisting stage that works the same as far as I know. So, you probably could catch and kill that a lot faster, so to speak, than you could with ick. Yeah, they are gross. Actually, I've seen fish lice. You go fishing in Atlantic Canada or in BC, you're gonna find them. Hey, morning, Kate. How you doing?
Doing all right. Just dropped the fiance off at work, and I'm heading back home.
There you go. And Jeeves, I sent you off a link if you want to get in. I'm not sure if you're at work or not. Yeah, so look at that. I get drawn into the whole debate again. No debate. There's no debate. We all know ick sucks. It's how to deal with it and what we're doing to deal with it. And like I said, I'm a little perplexed with my LFS guy as to where this came from for this fella, because nothing in his system has it. In fact, he is fine-tooth combing his tanks today, just watching all his fish, that he's still got for sale, and he has a chalk bass that came in with the last batch of fish that this fella got. So he's really going over this guy. Like he, in fact, as I say this, he has caught him and inspected this fish under a magnifier just to see if he can find anything, pulling his fins up. I mean, he's molesting this fish, folks, just for that fact that he wants to know.
Probing him.
Yeah, he wants to know, do you have it? You got it. So, and he said, on top of that, if I stress him a little bit, put him back in, if he breaks out, then we know, right? And I went, well, yeah, I guess. He goes, well, you know, he's a 20... Yeah. Yeah, and rips in the Philippines, yeah.
Isn't that fish molesting?
I guess, yeah. You know, he's touching his special area. You know.
It's not molestation if he asks permission.
Yeah. Wait a minute. What do they call that? He's not molesting the fish. It's called vexing the fish. As I recall, that's the term, vexing. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Ick is going to be the thing, you know, the minute that somebody figures out the ideal way, but the ideal way's been found, and I think that's where why it stalled and stopped, is that they know copper kills it, and it doesn't kill the fish if done in the appropriate way. But you are shortening the life of that fish. It's no different than cyanide, really, because it stays in their liver. So.
Right.
Do you think if the number of reef hobbyists and stuff is like quadrupled or something, that we'd probably have a cure for ick? It's just a matter. It's like anything, there's not enough of us and not enough reef hobbyists in the world to, because these places need funding and stuff, like I guess for research and stuff. But I'm just wondering if there was a lot more reef hobbyists and stuff, that there'd be money to do research and
you got to be a little bit more specific. You got to have responsible reef hobbyists, not just the people who come in and buy things on a whim and just wait for it and just let it die.
Right, which is when we get into that debate about things like kick and ick-x. And and you start looking at what these products are, and they're like, oh, it's reef safe. Well, I can tell you, formaldehyde and shrimp don't mix, and that's what's in ick-x. You know what I mean? It's like, well, it's only 3%, but what if I overdose it by accident? Oh, well, then your shrimp are all going to die. And I know somebody who used it perfectly, and everything that was an invertebrate in his tank died. All his snails, all his shrimp, everything died. Because to keep it at a therapeutic level that even helped the fish, and then there's also the fact that formaldehyde doesn't kill ick. Right? Ick is an invertebrate. That's why it really sucks. Because it's an invertebrate like your corals are. Your corals are sessile invertebrates. All your snails, your crabs, your shrimp, anything that isn't a fish is an invertebrate. So how do you kill ick?
I'm just saying, if there was enough money thrown at it,
Yep.
Somebody could find a cure. Somebody could find a way or a treatment or whatever to actually treat ick in a reef tank without killing,
everything.
A solution. Yeah. There's got to be some way, and it's just a matter of, like most things in life, money, for research, and so I'm sure there's
money and interest.
What's that?
Money and interest.
Money and interest, yeah.
Yeah. There's not enough. It's like a lot of things in life. There's a lot of things that were cured, and a lot of things that were, drugs that were manufactured for whatever, but they weren't until there was enough interest and enough outcry and so forth to find a cure for whatever it was.
Yep.
But we're just talking. I mean, who cares about who cares about us out here in this reef hobby, and the small amount of fish that we deal with, You start taking away start finding something out there in the ocean that's killing, massive amounts of what's the term? The fish that we eat on a daily basis, and somebody might do something then,
Tuna.
But,
yeah, it's. Go ahead, Jeeves.
He was saying the fish that we eat. I said tuna.
Tuna.
Albacore.
Yeah. Albacore. Yeah. It's funny though. Ick is present in the wild. It's just that a fish might see ick once in its life, and one parasite. So it's not that dangerous, right? It's in our little enclosed ecosystem that it's a problem.
Right, and that's. It seems to me my deductions are, it's like staph infection. Everybody has or has the potential for staph. It's not a problem until you put a bunch of old people in a hospital together. You know, stress, compromised immune systems. One person breaks out with it. Everybody gets it because they're in close quarters environments.
Right. It's like herpes.
Right.
But it doesn't show up until you're stressed.
How was work last night, Cocker?
Actually a lot easier than I expected it to be.
That's always good.
Most of the stuff we had to move came in before 5 o'clock, so I was able to get everything done actually about 2 hours before I was.
There we go. So
we
go ahead.
Discharged that barge to the plant last night, and we were almost finished. And here, yeah, come in, Bryce. I said, yeah, what's up? He said, shut that barge down. Shut that barge down now. I was like, oh crap. So I run out there. I get him to block in. We block in. The tank started leaking. The tank farm inside the plant had a leak up top.
Oh, there you go.
We had to pump it all back onto the barge.
What are they bringing in?
That was Transmix, which is like a gas diesel jet fuel blend before it's separated in the plant.
Okay. Gotcha. Cool.
Basically, it's all of your fuel oil, but some refineries will not process it because they don't sell gasoline and diesel. So they just sell that stuff off for cheaper and save having to have the equipment to refine it down further.
All right.
So, yeah. Cool. Sorry, I lost track there. I had to step away and grab a drink there because it was getting a little dry. So,
Craig, did you see, you know who Psychedelic Babe is?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay, so I just went through and watched most of her videos on Vibrant and removing the bubble and green algae out of her tank, and I have a little bit more faith in the product at this point.
Yeah, no, it works. It works. I would never say Vibrant doesn't. It's just cost, right?
Yeah.
You know, that's the biggest thing with Vibrant.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the 8-ounce bottle this week, and I think they said it was 27 and change, so probably 30 after taxes.
Could be worse, and that's not too bad, especially for what it is. And of course, my phone rings. And they can go to hell. That's a survey company. I did one thing online. Now I got survey companies calling me.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
I have more block numbers in my phone than I do contacts because I've had the same number since high school. And you fill this out, you fill that out.
Yeah, exactly. Can you fill out our customer survey?
Exxon Mobil used to call me all the time when I was in high school.
Who?
Yeah.
For Exxon Mobil.
For what?
I have no idea. I don't even know how they got my number, but I remember once I got in trouble for my phone going off like 3 times in one of my Latin classes, and the teacher wanted to just like take the phone and answering it. It was Exxon.
You must have a name that's similar to one of their engineers or something.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think my name's that common.
Unless you're just boy genius.
No, not there.
Not there?
No, not there.
That's weird. You should have told them you're going to start billing them per phone call like a contractor and sent them the contractor's form at the end of the year. You laugh. Some of those guys that do contract for them, it's a 4-hour minimum per call. If you call them at home, the consultants, that's a 4-hour charge.
That's some money there.
Yep.
For really little work.
Yeah. At what are they like? I know my dad's buddy is like $3,000 a day is what he charges them.
Oh, really? Okay. All right, so we had a starfish
Where do I
wasting.
sign up? What course do I need to take?
Yeah. Yeah, and there you go. Cody just spoke to something that's kind of cool. So I remember that on the west coast of Canada, it was almost like a wasting disease that was eating up starfish, and it happened right about the time of just a little. I forget how long it was, Cody, but it was after Fukushima in Japan, the meltdown, and they were blaming it on that. But the thing is that when they finally looked at it, it was a bacteria thing that was doing it. And it's like, well, I don't know if you guys know anything about radiation and bacteria, but they don't mix very well. So, yeah. But don't tell the eco hippies that. You're ruining their theory. No.
Yeah. What are we doing? I'm so glad there's like 10 different ways to get to my house.
There you go. That's helpful. There's only 2 to my house. Yeah. But yeah, so there you go. That's clams and mullet are awesome because I dig them times a week. Oh, okay. Are you digging them to eat them, or are you digging them to keep them? That's an interesting question, Cody. I know lots of people here go clam digging. Yeah.
I used to go and get they're called mud daubers.
Yeah.
When I was living out in Seattle.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that like those big razor clams?
Yeah, we get those too. Yeah. I'm sure there are different subspecies because east-west coast, right? But, you know. Whoa! What's going on? Go up. Big K! Somebody's on the road home, as I recall, so. You eat them. There you go. So, yeah, it's a good reason to go, like clam bakes. Right, down at Cape Cod, all them. Everyone stopped doing it. And the numbers haven't changed. That's a study I was reading there. I'd have to find that again, so. There you go. They're talking about digging up clams. All right. So. But yeah, so. Yeah, that's what I was dealing with last night. You know, it's, you know, something that is always going to be here until somebody does figure out the magic bullet. That just technically only kills the clam. Or the ick. Sorry. They were talking about clams in the chat and I got drawn in. I'm going to have to mute you there, Big K, or are you just getting in?
What was that?
Yeah, just you're a little loud. Little road noise, little walking in. You must be getting in your house, are you?
Yeah,
I
just walked in the house, so
there we
it'll
go.
get quieter now.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah, exactly. There's lots of stuff that leads to die-offs and then resurgence and everything in the wild. So it's one of those things that you just keep an eye. You know, they're scientists. That's what they keep an eye on. You know, marine biologists and etc. So yeah, you know, it's what it is. And marine velvet is what the guy thought he had. And I went, no, all your fish should be dead, all of them. And he goes, you think? And oh, it would have just went through your tank like wildfire. Yeah, I said that's a different agile bugger in and of itself. So.
Ick is the flu. Velvet is Ebola.
Yeah, total difference. Yeah, it's if you catch it, and I mean you catch it, and you catch it right away. I've seen people have really good success, but generally it's like, man, well, what do I do? And that few hours of indecision turn into, you know, a massive die-off in your tank, right? Who is it? Who? Cody? But yeah, so I don't know. I don't know of anything else in our tanks that's as bad other than equipment failure. You know, equipment failure plays a big part in a lot of people's, you know, takeout of the hobby. You know, they have something die. They have, you know, a heater goes. And if the heater locks on, we all know that's the death of your tank. Right? You know, we've all seen those videos where the heater locked on, temperature got up to 94, 95 degrees and cooked everything in the tank, so to speak.
Crispy fish.
Exactly. You know, they're well cooked. Eat them. Who was it? It was Miss Saltwater Tank, a.k.a. Prestige Reef. had that happen. Huge. And it was mostly his fish. His coral did have some die-off, but his coral basically survived that event. He only lost like 10% of his coral, but he lost 80% of his fish. So.
You said that was Mr. Saltwater Tank?
Miss.
Okay.
Yeah, a.k.a. Prestige Reef. Yeah.
Okay.
So, that's really funny.
Yeah, I didn't quite like that. I didn't.
No, but I'm still perplexed at somebody not liking that the name of my channel is Reefer Madness because of its connotation. Really? What would you like me to call it? Oh, wait, I shouldn't say that. Well, you know what? I'm a big boy. I can take it. There you go. Hey, Dave, glad to have you back. Rolling through the hills.
I just thought it was funny.
Everybody, if you take offense to it, I'm sorry, but it did not come from where you think it came from. It was joking around at a fish shop, and we were talking about the addiction of buying coral. That when you get into that kind of mode where I gotta have them all, the Pokemon thing, which I find is what Zoas are like. Zoas have that real Pokemon kind of, you gotta catch them all, you gotta get them all. And it's like,
Craig, I wonder how many people come to your channel. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Oh, I get tons. You should see the hate I used to get on the Facebook side. Oh man, I thought this was going to be about weed, man. It's like, well, get stoned and look at the pretty fish, man. It's all the same. It's all good. You'll enjoy.
Talking about fish?
Exactly right. I've had more entertaining. I've actually had a few guys that told me that they came there and then now they're into it. There you go, right? Focus in, buddy. But
yeah, my name used to be Bearded Reefer, and I used to get a lot of
So David got a wooden air stone. You put it in the sump beside the return pump. You're not really what you're looking for. You can move it closer if you want to see more. It's not going to hurt anything, but it's the very dense, fine, almost like a pin dot in your tank. Is what you're looking for. You're not looking for that big whoosh of bubbles. You need a Harlequin shrimp. Oh, because you got Astorina stars, I'm guessing, Eradicate. So,
Those little buggers are expensive too.
Those are little pains in the.
I love them, but yeah, keeping them fed is such a pain. For those that don't know, Harlequin shrimp don't eat anything besides starfish. Starfish polyps, actually, their feet to be exact. But if you get certain ones, sand sifting stars, they just start devouring them. Literally, from the tip down, they just eat the whole thing. Yeah, but they're beautiful and they're extremely entertaining. I love how tough they think they are for the size. Yeah, it's like I could squish you. Yeah. But he's still like, put up your dukes. Yeah, so I love it. Yeah, well, it's a crap. There we go. See, squirrel. I lost track of where the hell I was. That's all right.
David, Airstone, fine mist of bubbles.
Thank you. So, yeah, David, try moving it. If you've got it in that return section, move it kind of up to where the intake is and try it like 4 inches away. And if you're still not seeing those pin dots, move it 3 inches away. You know what I mean? You got to move it so the laminar flow grabs a hold of it, the suction. Right? And it'll grab the heavier bubbles. That's all. Now, if you look at the airstone, are there lots of bubbles coming out of the airstone, like just butt tons? Because if there's not, that's another problem entirely. Yeah, so you've got Zoe eating Astorinas. Yeah.
Yeah, those are real fun.
Yeah, those are real good if you got a couple $100 worth of those in your tank.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I said to one guy, well, look at your Vamps and Drag now, buddy. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things, man. There's so many different things in our tank that can piss us off. Like,
my buddy Mike he did the Harlequin shrimp, too, and he had Astorinas real bad, and they took care of his real well, so they do work.
Oh, a Harlequin shrimp will Empty the tank of them. And brittles. You know, those little white brittles that you get sometimes? Yeah. I loved having them.
Brittles are good.
They're good for your tank, but the problem is the minute I put, I put the Harlequin shrimp in, that was over. Yeah, I watched her go right up on the rock. Yank one right on the rock. Yeah, and he thought he was getting away, and she got a hold of his body, you know, at the center. And it was funny that she kept moving him in such a way that he couldn't detach a leg, to, you know, so the leg would survive, kind of deal. I don't know if you've ever seen Tom's tank, but he's got one where it was one leg, and now it's a little teeny body with little, you know, the other four coming off now. I think Than from Tidal Garden showed one that he had like that one time. You know, gotta love it when you don't have a central nervous system per se.
I'm having a hard time finding a one-spot fox face for some reason. It's like, if I didn't want one, they'd be all over the place.
Pretty much. That's the way it goes. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Tim, if you don't have one, because I've kind of been thinking about tearing the 75 down.
Yeah.
Not today, but if you still don't have one by then, I'll give you mine.
We're gonna overnight that.
Yeah, I mean, I would go to my fish store and let him ship it like they ship fish.
Oh, okay.
And just pay for the shipping.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be a good way to do it.
He's about 4 inches, 5 inches, about 4 inches.
So he's still a juvenile.
Yeah. He's a sub-adult.
Sub-adult. It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true, Cody. The fish farms are a big deal here. We're starting to see a lot of the problems with the waste, that the tide's not actually getting rid of that, because they're all in that one area, right? You know, they're not spread out, so... Hey, guess what? Just like our fish tanks, you guys need to do a water change. Yeah, our tides are so strong here that they're using, they're testing out tidal turbines, right, to create electricity.
Oh, yeah.
And what they noticed is the amount of fish they were chewing up in these turbines was making it not cost effective. There's no way to keep them out, because the way that the whole system worked, it was funneling water in, so it funneled the fish right in with it, right? Yeah.
Are they still struggling with finding something that should hurt them? Like coralline algae growth and all the other...
Yeah, there's a few things there. Yeah, barnacles here. Big time barnacle problem, too. But yeah, so Tim, you're on the road, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Want me to mute it?
Nope. I'm going to just turn you down a little bit so we can hear you if you start talking.
I am going to pick up my computer.
Ah, there you go. That's cool. Oh, that's fine. Just turn you down a little bit. So, yeah. Start working with it. Hopefully, it sounds like from what he said, it was a dead hard drive. I would have came to that too.
He put a used hard drive in it, but which is fine. And I gotta pick that up, and then I can take it home, and then do the recovery thing with carbonite, and hopefully I'll be back in business again.
Should be.
I was supposed to be on jury duty today, but that got canceled.
Oh, there you go.
So my office says, "What do you want to do? You want to?" And I have to, schedule patients and stuff. I go, "Well, it's too late, really, to schedule patients for now. Somebody else has already been assigned it." So I said, "I'll just take the day off." And they said, "Fine." I said, "Okay, see you Monday." Bye.
Yeah, you got it, eradicate. I actually remember that, Cody. That 30 million Atlantic salmon that got released. Yeah, but during a storm. Yeah, on west coast of BC, and they were Atlantic salmon. And Atlantic salmon are hardy fish. So are Pacific salmon, but Atlantic salmon tend to outcompete, I guess. So they're showing up in the rivers now. And it just shows you life finds a way, right? Everyone's, we're not sure why. They swim to the same place every time. They swim to a river. And if you guys are trying to tell me that fish that you tracked that was a small fish on the way out, you know exactly that he went back to the exact same place, I have issues with that. There's a few things I'm like, okay. It's a little supposition on your part.
Down here.
They do what?
They track redfish down here.
Yeah. Now, I guess it would come, and that would be it. Are you tagging it, and that's how they did it, and I think that's how they did it, but There was one guy talking about a micro transmitter with a battery with a 6-month life. Well, that fish is not coming back for 3 years. You know what I mean? So, but did you find the battery in the fish? That's okay. I can live with that, right? And on this date. So I'm going to guess that's how they're doing it. It's got to be just tracking it by what they found in the fish.
The Energizer won't last.
Foolish. The most foolish thing I think I've ever seen when it came to that kind of stuff was he was talking about ecology and saving it and how every fish life is precious. And while he's talking about this, he's hacking a fish apart that he caught, right? Now, here's the thing. A salmon that's gone to spawn, he's done. Now, he's not going back to the ocean. He's done. So, but it was just the way that it was presented. It was just, that was bad editing on your guys' part, right? Don't have a guy talking about conservation and everything while he's hacking a fish apart. So a lot of people don't understand the life cycle of a salmon, right? He's not going to go make little salmon and then swim back out to the ocean and enjoy the rest of his life.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, he's done.
His deal is done. He's at the end of it all.
One last hoorah.
For dinner tonight.
You're having fish for dinner? There you go. Eat it in front of your fish and say, could be you. That's what I do. Keep them in line.
But I'm sriracha mayo standing.
Oh, you're cutting up there, okay.
I'm going to make some sriracha mayo.
I have no idea other than sriracha and mayo. That's all I heard.
Sriracha mayo salmon.
There you go. Okay.
Sriracha mayo salmon.
That's neat.
Sounds really good.
Might be good.
Nope. So yeah, it's like, and then there's the invasive species problems, and that's been going on forever, right? Where's the tag? As far as I can remember with salmon, eradicate, it's like a little microchip tag, and it's underneath the dorsal spine. They put it in the fish, so it can't get removed.
Like a dog tracker.
Yeah, like a dog tracker. Yeah, and actually, I think that's where dog tracking tags and cat tracking tags came from.
Yeah, from wildlife.
Was wildlife. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna switch over to my computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely ta-da. I don't know. What else, guys? What else is going on? I don't want to talk about ick all day. I really don't. I've literally spent the last 14 hours hearing about ick, so.
I've been talking with Cruz this morning about what they can do in the ocean.
Oh, your connection's horrible, okay. Yeah, wherever you got your phone, it's being interfered with, bud. Yeah.
Well, it's right next to me. Maybe it's because I was next to the computer. Can you hear me better now?
Yep, hear you fine now. Yep, so it was getting interfered by the computer. Perfect. No, so you were talking to Cruz. What were you guys talking about?
We're talking about getting my levels back to being a little bit more balanced.
Right.
So he recommended that I go get some Instant Ocean, not the Reef crystals, but Instant Ocean itself,
yeah.
and then bring the elements up to whatever I specify them being using. And he recommended doing B-Ionic over. Right now I use BRS 2-part, but bringing the levels up.
Yeah, I'm actually at a state that's weird. Because I use IO, I have to start dosing magnesium. Because my magnesium's always low, and I was just noticing Doradica talking about doing that, and that's when I noticed the swing in my tank coming back the other way. So I'm kind of curious to get some. Magnesium chloride is what I would use, I think, isn't it?
I think I use, or the BRS comes with, let's see which one. We got some containers in here of it. It is magnesium chloride and
magnesium sulfate mixed together?
I believe that's correct, yes.
Yeah, there you go. So you got to mix it yourself.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went with their dry.
With the dry? Okay. I may go that route. Yeah. Because, and what I might do is actually put it in a very light dose. I'm going to talk to Cruz about the amounts. And I have a mix it. There you go. How you doing, Dev? Reef Dude's popping in, checking out the Reefer Madness live stream.
Yep, I'm going to have to DIY me some dosing containers.
Boss bottles, they're awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't get that smell out of those containers, can you, Jeeves?
No.
No, it's not coming out. Yeah. And it probably doesn't mean anything, but I know that nervousness of if the minute you smell chemical smell, I don't want to use it on a reef tank, unless that's what the chemical I'm putting in smells like, right? You know, versus the container.
No, it's the container, and no, I actually had problems with it. It started growing like an algae inside of it.
Yeah, you were saying. Yeah.
So it's leaching something.
Absolutely, I'd agree with that statement because you shouldn't have anything growing in your dosing container. Yeah, I tell people that all the time. Like, no, that's weird. Yeah, so. But no, it's been an interesting week for me. It's just ick. I kid you guys not. From Monday to Friday, all I heard about was ick, and I know where most of it came from. And I'm not to bash anybody. Everyone's been put on notice. Hey, this is where it's coming from. That's why I'm curious about the one guy that's not where it came from. So, you know, like I said, I'll be digging into that a little more. Oh, there you go, David. Yes. Enjoy, sir. Hopefully it works out and helps you out a little bit, stabilizing up your system. So, Miracle Mud. Can't wait to get my hands on a bit, but like I said, I'm not doing anything till I get my tanks sort of settled into their new location before I even dick around with stuff. This is going to be a huge upheaval.
I think my plan right now is I'm picking up the Vibrant this weekend. I'm going to pick up the Instant Ocean this weekend. And until I can go out, and I don't think either one of the fish shops I'll be going to tomorrow carry Bionic. So I'll probably just raise the levels back up with the 2-part that I have already. And then I'll start making some changes in June.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Once you're bubble algae over the next like 4 to 6 weeks, then I'll start making other tweaks.
Now, are you also going to do some manual removal while you're doing this?
I hadn't really decided how I was going to go about doing that.
Because I mean, if you're going to dose
the initial dose and probably do half dose this week, and then go up to the full dose next week and kind of see how the bubble algae reacts. If I start seeing a bunch of husks, go in and remove that during my normal water change schedule as I balance up the tank itself anyway.
Right.
But I really haven't had much luck with going. I've gone through and completely, cleaned out a rock to where I can't see any more on it. And a couple weeks later, it's back to it. So I'm gonna see if I can get Vibrant to loosen it up, loosen its foothold, and then I'll start being a little more aggressive about manual removal.
Well, manual removal, what I mean is going in there and actually use a 1/4-inch airline as your siphon, right?
Yeah.
And pick it off the rock while you're using the Vibrant. Dev, I know, Reef Dude's there in chat. He's using it, and he's seeing good success with it.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know, I never really got into it. We don't talk about that enough. We talk about green hair algae because that's the most common, but bubble algae is right there with it. I think everybody's dealt with bubble algae. I had it at plague levels at one point.
I think I'm borderline plague levels. At least in my personal opinion, I'm at plague level, but I've seen worse.
If it's every rock and it's all over the rock, that's your plague, right? Because it's only going to get worse, right? Yeah, Dev, that'd be a great video, man. Bubble algae and just dealing with it, and the various methods. I go in and manually pick it off right now, and I try to pick the whole bubble, but I have a siphon going right next to it with my flow off so that any sporing, I get it right out of the tank so I don't spread it out, right? And now this rock, I did what you're talking about. Now, when I dealt with bubble algae, and I have a video on my channel there if you want to look at it. I pick it all off with a dental pick outside of the tank, rinse it, soak it with, this is corals too, by the way. I hit them with hydrogen peroxide, 3%, let it all sit for 10 minutes, rinse it off again, and put it back. Right? And I
put in the whole coral inside a container that has 3% peroxide.
No, I just spray it on the coral. Right?
Okay,
I have a hair. Yeah. So I pick it all off. I got magnifying headset and everything I use. And then I would go in, spray it, let it sit for 10 minutes, rinse it off, and I put the coral back. And it pisses it off, no doubt. You know what I mean? Like, there's no misconceptions that I'm definitely putting the coral through a lot. But when it reaches plague levels, like if you look at the screen, my pipe organ, if that gets bubble algae in and around every one of them, that's a hard road of hoe to get rid of that. It takes a lot of work, and the coral, you have to keep it, wet. You can't let it dry out. It's really bad for coral to go too dry. Right. So I always have a fresh salt water there. But the minute you're scraping and you dip it, that's now contaminated with spores. Right? So I try to explain to people, like, have some 5-gallon bucket of fresh salt water ready, because you need to keep swapping that out so that when you're doing this, you're not recontaminating the coral so it grows again. But that is what spraying it with the peroxide on the after is for. It's just make sure when you switch that off, that's fresh water, dump it out, fresh water again for the next coral if you're dealing with it, right? It's a long process, and I made a video on it, and it there's a few people that found it handy, and some people just don't like it. But I mean, I've dealt with algae. I think we all have. Algae in one degree or another. I know high magnesium levels keep it at bay. I don't know the trigger for that, but I know a lot of people have had really good success. When I raised my magnesium, along with dosing and bubbling, bang, all my algae issues pretty much started to go away. I know
magnesium too.
Yeah, I had my magnesium go. I raised it slowly over the course of 3 weeks from 1080, so it was already low. I got it up to 1260, which is right kind of where you want it. In that 1180 or 1280 to 1320 range or whatever it is. And now it's up sitting around 1380, and almost all the issues I was having with any kind of algae in my 120 are gone. Now I'm going to slowly work on this 20 gallon, because the 20 gallon, I don't want to swing it too hard in any one way or the other, because it's only 32 gallons of water total.
Yeah.
Geez, D, you have no luck, Eradicate, man. This Tonka branch with the Millie that's starting to look good got knocked over. Of course it did. That's the way it works. Nope. So what's on your agenda today, Dev? Aptasia are fun, man. I manually remove Aptasia. I know people do Aptasia X and Joe's Juice and lemon and boiling water and all that other stuff, but you're dealing with an animal that has the ability to bail out. Play with that new controller. What new controller? I missed your show. I do apologize. Both Wednesday and Thursday, I was out doing business, for lack of a better term. So. Yeah, I know. I'm bad. Bad Craig. Bad Craig. I don't use Instagram, man. I don't. The further away from social media I can be is the better. It's funny, and saying that as a YouTuber. Well, if you did and you got it up, I'll go watch it. I'm sure I saw a post for that, and I just haven't gotten around to it.
Oh, not much. Just hanging around on call.
Oh, that's right. You're on call today, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, you got a hold of an e-coral as well. Did they send it to you to test out, or did you buy it? Did you use your YouTube connections? Because I'm trying to do that with a light right now. And I haven't heard back yet, but we'll see. You gotta love that. I should probably write them, but I don't think I'm big enough. Sorry?
Big tank. So my protein skimmer came in yesterday for the big tank.
Oh yeah, you got a SCA, was it? No.
Yeah, I got SCA 100.
Right.
But I just got the Coral Box D700.
That's it, the D700. Yeah. They look good. I like them. I do like Coral Box skimmers. I love the adjustability. Is really high, so.
That's why I went with them.
Cool. That is so cool. Yeah.
That,
yeah, I want to try out.
The only thing I'm missing is a couple lights and circulation pumps. I don't know if I'm going to go with. I think I'm going to go with the Gyre F250s.
Oh yes, okay, you're going to go that size.
I'm concerned about the noise.
I don't think they're that noisy, to be honest, but some people think they are. But
yeah, I mean, I've heard like when CJ's doing live stuff and he's got his the 230s running, you can hear him going pretty hard, which is why I was thinking about going with the 250s because I could run them at a lower level. I could run them below 50% and still get all the flow I want.
Yeah, now Dev's saying that his are pretty quiet, and he's running those.
Is the 250s or the 230s?
Which one are you running, Dev? And I'm possibly going to be trying out. They're called Spectra. Is the name of the lighting company? They're Wi-Fi controllable, and they're kind of like. Let's see here if I get a pick. There we go. Let's try that. I'll share that up with everybody. There you go. So if you guys can see that on the screen, I'm trying to see if I can get a hold of one of these to give it a shot. Very interested to see how I'll present it for everyone. And they're called Spectra LED. And here I can Spectra Aquarium, I think is the name of the company, but I'm going to get it for you guys here in a sec. Aqua Helios.
Hey,
oh, that's all right, Rip.
Dev, are you still using that Coral Box Nano Wave Maker, the one that goes in reverse? I don't have to chat up.
Oop. But yeah, it's definitely it's very interesting the way things are going, equipment-wise. Starting to see more and more affordable options. These are still expensive. I don't care what anybody says. They're still the 18-inch. I think it's $455, and then there's one that goes to so the 40. Yeah, the one that'll do a 45 size tank. So I guess a 36-inch. And they go up from there. So, although their most expensive one, which would be for doing a 2-foot tank, is $920. That's give or take around the same. So it's not bad.
I think I'm going to do the same thing I have on the 100-gallon. I'm just going to do 2 Ocean Revives and then get 2 4-foot Coral Life fixtures, 2 bold fixtures.
Yep, T5 on them. Yep.
Later
date.
I'll put T5s on either end, and I'm kind of curious if, because right now I'm holding everything up using the window screen framing.
Oh, yes, yep.
Well, the Ocean Revives are actually hanging off of one of the, what are they called? It's like a lighting strip. They have copper wire, so you can just pretty much put the light wherever you want to.
Gotcha.
Move around and just lock it in place.
Now, you a little worried about that copper wire at all, or?
No, I pulled the copper wire out.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay.
So the fixtures itself are supposed to, you put lights in them and you run power through the actual brackets.
Gotcha.
So the lights don't have, and the lights will connect to the copper wiring and pull the electricity that way.
Gotcha. I use Nanotech Sun Blasters. Yeah. And they're not water intrusion safe either. I try to tell people, make sure you put them at least 8 inches above the water. Yeah, try and keep them under the spray. Yeah, so. But all right. Well, listen, guys, I planned on an hour to 2, and we're at an hour and a half. I'm actually going to call it at an hour and a half, Just viewership's on the mean side. Lean, not mean. And on top of that, again, it's Friday, but I do got business to do, so I am going to pop off.
Yeah, I'm about to start cooking anyway, so
Exactly. Cody's moving. Good luck with your move, Cody, if you're still listening. I know he popped off. And Deradicate, you have a great day. Dev, thanks for dropping by as always. Same with you, Rip. Love having you guys around. And Tim, Kay, and Jeeves, always love having you guys in. It's always good for chat. And I will probably be back on later tonight, depending on what's going on. And I can't see why not, because our Friday chats are always entertaining.
Yeah, hopefully it's light and I'll be able to catch it tonight.
Sounds like a plan.
But I doubt it. It's Friday. It's our worst day. Everything moves tomorrow.
Pretty much. Kind of the way it goes, right? All right, boys and girls, later taters, and have a good day, all right?
Later, bud.
All right. Talk to you later.